Okay, hey guys, today we are going to revise the topic about the ASAD. Okay, actually in the previous when we have the lessons we included in the several chapters. Okay, included the ASAD and the determination of the price level and the output, and also it exists in both physical and monetary policy. So we are going to summation of them, and also it's a very hit topic about the essay type question. So we have to revise about the basic idea or how did it affect the output and the general price level of the factors, different factors, okay, and about the government policies. And then we will go through the essay type question to next day, okay? So let's go. Okay, before we start, we have to understand that what is the ASAD model talking about. Actually, it is exists in the macroeconomics. Okay, it is a system, a model who are estimating different factors or different events who affect the price level, general price level. This time is not the price of the individual goods, but the whole economies. Okay, so we are talking about the price level and also how they affect the Y, or we can call that the real GDP. Okay, so now before we really go through that, we have to understand the ultimate goal is about the P and Y. Okay, so ASAD they include the three individual curve actually. Okay, so the first one is AD, the second one is SRAS, and the third one is LRAS. The short one and the long one, accurate supply. And when we talk about it, we have to understand different factors, how it affects the AD, SRAS, and the LRAS first, and we have to understand how the long-term, the short-term equilibrium and the long-term equilibrium. Okay, how they determine that. So in the middle, we will understand how the government policy affect the ultimate output level by affecting the accurate demand curve. Okay, so now what exactly is accurate demand? It's actually very simple. There are four elements we learned from the GDP. Okay, and actually these four elements affect the demand of the goods of the economy. So they are the household, that means the public consumption of the local citizens, okay? And then the second is the local firms. They need to buy something for their investment, okay? So they also buy something locally, but the purpose is try to invest in their business, okay? So then the third one is about the government spending and also the export and the import. Import is an opposite effect, okay? So reverse effect, so it will, if more import than actually the AD is decreased, but the more export, then the AD will increase. Okay, so now we have to understand that there are several reasons of why, because the AD is talking about the relationship between the price level and the real GDP. Okay, so we know that they should be revised. We know that when the price level increase and ultimately our output will decrease. But why? There are several effects, and in the real DSE examination, these is a must topic to memorize why. Okay, almost all the time is 3 marks. Okay, so there are 3 effects. Remember the name, but because sometimes the question will ask you to mention specifically one of the effects. Okay, or they ask you except one of the effects. Okay, so you have to remember the name and match up to explain this. Okay, but it's very easy because every time we try to explain, remember we have to go through from the starting point to the ending point. Starting point is always the change of the price level, and the ending point should be the real output change. Okay, or real GDP change. Okay, so you can see that all of this are the same. Okay, so the only difference is the logic between. Okay, let us go through a little bit specific, deeply. Okay, so when the price, when we talked about the wealth effect, so we are talking about the wealth of the individuals. So when the price level drop, we can know that although the money we have is still the same amount, but when the price level drop, that means with the same amount of money, we can buy more. So purchasing power of money increase. That means I have more real value of the assets. Okay, I can buy more things. That means I own more things, and then we will try to increase our consumption. Okay, this word I can simply to replace by the private consumption increase. Then the last one is the Y increase or the real GDP increase. Okay, it can shorten your the things that you have to memorize. So then about the interest rate effects. Interest rate is very simple. If the price level decrease, that means we need less money. We need, okay, as an individual, we need less money, assuming that we have the same consumption pattern. So I still buy a lunch, buy a dinner, take the bus, okay, wherever. So the money are needed, the cash are needed is really decreased. So that's why the money demand is dropped. When money demand dropped, interest rate decrease. Okay, think about the bank. When there is less people demand for the loans, so they will try to lower the price to loan out the money. Okay, so the price of the loan is the interest rate. So then the consumption and the investment will increase. Okay, because the cost of lending or borrowing money decrease. Okay, so that's why C and I will increase. So that's why the Y will increase. Okay, P decrease and the final result is right increase again. So the last one is net export effects. Okay, every time we're talking about export, so we have to think about the another country. Okay, so now when we find that the price level decrease, we have to think about two things. They are the imports and the exports. Okay, think about the imports. Our local goods become cheaper, so I would prefer to buy the local goods. Assume that the imported good is remain the same price level. Okay, so now when we find that the relative price of the local goods or the input goods is increased, so you will buy less. Okay, and at the same time, because the foreign people, they find that our goods is become cheaper, so they like it. Price drop, quantity demand increase, very basic, right? So the export, our goods selling to the overseas is increased. Okay, so now we find that the M decreased, the X increased. Both of them are good, is an advantage for the net export. Okay, net export increase, that means here, then that's why the Y increase. Okay, so actually we are using this basic idea about the GDP, C, I, G, and X. Okay, before that we are talking about why the AD curve is downward sloping, but now we are talking about the shift of the AD curve. Okay, so now we remember we are not started by the price change. Okay, or we can just say that when the price level change, that will be change of QD. Okay, or this time we call it AQD, accurate quantity demand. But if it's non-price factors, just like you learned in Form 4, then it should be the whole AD curve change. Okay, so now we're talking about some factors. When they happen, then the whole AD curve will shift. AD curve may shift to the right hand side or left hand side, depends on what happened. Increase to the right, decrease to the left, just like demand curve, the same. Okay, the important is the C, I, G, and X, how they change and how they affect the AD. Actually, if you have the concept about the GDP, then you can easily handle this. For example, if we talk about the income of the individuals increase, then AD increase because we'll find that the C increase. Okay, so if we find that they want to save more, then the C will decrease because they will want reduce their consumption. So AD decrease. Simple. So the value of assets increase, they will try to buy more. So C or C increase. Okay. Then interest rate increase, they cannot. They will try to borrow less money. So borrow less, consumption decrease. So AD decrease. Consumer confidence increase. So they will try to buy more. So AD increase. First of all. Okay. In the aspect of the investment, think about it. Business prospects increase. That means it's better in the future. So they have a better forecasting. So they will try to invest more. Okay. So AD increase. Interest rate increase. That means their cost of borrowing money increase. They will try to borrow less. So AD decrease. Government policy will be if it is pro the business development, that means that they think that in the future there's a advantage, so they will try to invest more. So AD increase. Income of economy increase, so they have more money, so they will try to reinvest to their business more, so there will be increase in investment. And for the government expenditure, simple. If more funds, that means more budget. Okay, more reserve. The G will try to increase, then AD increase, and any government policy will expand the spending. So the G will increase, then AD increase. Okay, so for the government side, I would like to go through here more, and there are two main types of government policy we learned in different chapters, but actually very simple. Both of them we have two keywords. We call it expansionary or the contractionary policy. Okay, but when we talking about the fiscal policy, we are talking about the tax and the government spending. Okay, expenditure we call that. Or maybe I have to use the right name. Okay, government expenditure. Okay, so when we're talking about monetary policy, that means the government try to intervene the economy by controlling the money supply. So they can only try to increase or decrease the money supply, but it simply can control or affect the economy. Okay, so when we're talking about the expansionary fiscal policy, that means the target is try to make the real GDP increase. So how can it do that? It can by affecting the tax or the government spending. So maybe if you try to be advantage for the economy, so they can try to reduce the tax level, and also they can try to have a deficit budgeting. So what's that mean? That means they try to collect the tax less than the government spending. That means they try to spend more money, okay, than the tax they collect, or even a balanced budget, because the effect of spending is greater than the tax. So even there is balanced budget, the power of government spending, that means which is beneficial for the output level, so is more than the negative effects made by the tax. Okay, so balanced budget also is an expansionary fiscal policy. So if you found that in the question they mentioned a situation that the government have a policy about deficit budget, balanced budget, or even just simply reduce the tax, okay, that is an advantage of AD. Okay, or increase the government spending, also make the AD increase. Okay, but what is the contractionary fiscal policy? Increase the tax rate or decrease the government spending also, but at the same time we call the surplus budgets. That means we have collect more tax than the government spending. They will have a AD drop effect. Okay, and about the monetary policy, more simple because it just only control the money supply. So if that's expansionary, that means they try to have make the real GDP increase. That means the output level increase. So how to make the output level increase? They will do something to stimulate the economy by increasing the money supply. That means give more money to the public, then they let the public have more consumption, more investment, something like that. So how they could do that? Actually, there are 4 ways. Mainly it's 3 ways. We call the open market operation. That means buying or selling bonds. Secondly, is the change of the required reserve rate. So we learned that in the money supply topic about the credit creation. And then the next one is about the discount rate. Discount rate is the interest rate that the central bank lending money to the commercial banks. Okay, that means the individual citizens can borrow from the central bank, but the commercial bank can't do it. Okay, so by controlling these things, let's think about how they increase the money supply. If the central bank buy the bonds, okay, that means the government buy bonds, that means government have to spend money to the public. Okay, so government here, and they have to spend money to the public. Oh my god. Spend money to the public. Okay, so the money held by the public will increase. Okay, so money supply increase. That's why MS increase. Okay, so now at this, with the same logic, but this time we did control the decrease the required reserve ratio. That means the commercial bank now they no need to keep so much cash in their reserve. They can lend out more money. That's why the money supply will be increased in the public. And also discount rate with the same logic. The central bank now have decreased the interest rate. That means the commercial bank can borrow more money. When they borrow money, then they will lend more money to the public. So money supply will increase. Very simple. So when the public hold more money, they can increase their consumption. Okay, they can increase consumption. They can increase the investment. Okay, these things will increase the AD. Okay, so contractional monetary policy just the opposite. They try to, this time is not buy bonds but selling the bonds. This time not increase the ratio or discount rate, but not decreasing them, but increasing them. Okay, so the money supply will decrease and the AD will drop. Okay, so that's all about the physical and monetary policy and how did it affect the economy. We will go detail with the ASAD model and the diagram. Okay, so one more thing is about net export. We go back to here. Net export, because we are talking about partners. That means the foreign countries, and they are doing business with us. Okay, they will try to buy our things. So if they have a better economic situations or conditions, then their income increase. They will try to buy more things. So our export will increase. Okay, the export will increase. So that's why the import increase. Okay, or another way is about it because they have a better economic condition, then we know that there will be inflation in that country. So if they have inflation, that means relatively their goods will become less attractive for our local people. Okay, so our local people will try to reduce the amount of import goods. So the import will become lower. Okay, so both of them will be advanced to the net export. Okay, so the AD increase. Okay, another way is about the exchange rate. Okay, even there's no change about the economic condition, but if the exchange rate will have a little changes. Okay, for example, our local currency becomes stronger. We call that appreciation. Local currency becomes stronger. Think about that. That means we can buy more import goods with the same amount of local currency. Okay, if I'm holding Hong Kong dollar, I can buy more things with 100 Hong Kong dollar, but from China or from Taiwan or from Philippines. Okay, so now the import should be increased. If import increase, our AD will be negative advantage. Okay, or even our export will decrease because our goods is. Because when we appreciate, our local currency appreciate, that means the foreign currency is depreciate. They depreciate that means their purchasing power is lower, then they can buy less goods from us. Okay, so our export will decrease. So these things is not good for the AD. So that's why protectionist policy, it seems like a very bad thing for trading. But however, for the local companies, they will be good, okay? Because it's not the import increase. It should be import decrease, okay? That's why the AD increase, okay? There's no effect on the export because they only control, because the quota or the tariff, they only impose on the imported goods, okay? So only import decrease and the AD will increase. Okay, after talking so much about the AD, and then we will quickly move on to the AS. AS is simply is talking about the quantity supply of our economy. So it's about the producer of us. And now actually there's two period. We call the short one, long one, according to how the people, whether the people fully recognize and adjust to the changes of economic situations. So if they do not have enough time to adjust, then that's a short one. If they have, then it's long one. Very simple. Okay. So for the here, please try to memorize one of them because we still find sometimes the DSE will ask you why the SRAS is upward sloping. Okay, memorizes is fine. Okay, so remember, start with the change of the general price level and end with the increase in the input or the output. Okay, sorry, increase increase, okay, their output. So the logic behind is very simple, because when the price level increase, the output price level, that means the products increase faster than the input, okay, because the inputs have not enough time to adjust, okay. No need to understand, you just memorize it. Then the more profitable, then the output will increase, but with the lower real cost. So that's why they have more output. And then for the long run AS, no need to think about so much, because it's just one thing, they are vertical, because the long run is limited by the productivity capacity, okay? So it's only the quantity and the quality of the factory production affect the LRAS, okay? So it's vertical. The price is irrelevant to the LRAS quantity. Okay, so now how it will affect the SRAS and the LRAS, okay? Very simple. For the SRS, most common reason is about the cost, okay? The cost of production. If we find that, for example, the wages of the economy, or the price of the ingredients or the input, or there's some temporary policy to make the wages become higher, and these things will make the producer try to make less, okay? So cost increase and SRS decrease. Okay, so also the second one is about the expectation about the future. Okay, if they find that the future price will increase, then they will try to sell later, right, in order to make more profits. So they will try to decrease their SRS currently. Okay, so for LRS, even more simple, because only three things will affect the LRS only. Okay, for the others which affects the supply side, then will be SRAS, which is quantity and the quality of factory production. Okay, there are some several examples I can mention. The number of workers change, okay, maybe in immigrations, or maybe shorter the time of education, or there's a baby boom, okay, the birth rate increased 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Okay, these things will increase the manpower of the economy. So that's the quantity of the factory production will increase, so SRAS increase. And however, at the same time, how about the quality? The quality may be affected by the education. The human resources are affected by education. For the capital goods, affected by the technology. Okay, these things will really affect the quality of the factory production. So if they have more education, more training, more advanced technology, so LRS will increase. Okay, so now think about, how about the test rate? If the test rate change, if we're talking about the sales tax, okay, sales tax, that means that they, when the seller try to sell the goods, they need to impose a several amount. They need to pay the tax to the government. So it is increasing the cost of the sellers, okay, and that's why it affects the SRS, and it actually doesn't affect the quality and the quantity of the factory's production. It's just about the selling price. So that's why it's SRAS, okay. And there's another confusions, okay. That's about another tax rate. For example, if we're talking about the salary tax, or we're talking about the profit tax, okay, and actually these taxes will affect the income of the firm or the individuals. That means the households. Okay, so that's why if we are talking about the income of the firm or individuals, that means it does not affect the producer only. This affected the individuals who are going to buy the things, okay? So actually it affected the accurate demand, which is because the C and I will go down. If there is more salary or profit tax, then the consumption and investment will go down, so the AD will go down. Okay, so so this is some tricky things for the topic. Okay, after we understand how we have the basic ideas about the factors changing the ADAS, then we have to go through the how to draw the diagram and get the full master of the questions. Okay, so now we have to understand actually because we have short one and long one, so we have two kinds of equilibrium. For the short one, that means we only have two curve. Okay, the short one AS and the AD. But with the long one, very simple. Just put one more curve, that is the LRS. So that is the long one equilibrium, and we have an intersection at the middle. Okay, so now after we know about the equilibrium, we have to find the inequilibrium, which is not in equilibrium. So about that is two situations. We call the deflationary gap and inflationary gap. And actually it's so simple, similar to the microeconomics, we have the overproduction and underproduction. Okay, actually the same thing, but because this time we're talking about the macroeconomics, so we have another name. Okay, deflationary gap, that means our output level is not enough. Okay, we have the name D. It seems like a negative. It seems like it's not enough. Okay, so in deflationary gap, we'll find that our output level is less than the potential output. That means YF. Okay, so you will find that our equilibrium point, short run equilibrium point, cannot go to the is not the same. Okay, it's less than the LRS. And for the inflationary gap, that means our output level is more. Our output level is more. Output level is more than the full potential, full output. Okay, or the potential output. That means our equilibrium point is on the right hand side of LRS. Okay. So we need to know the name, because sometimes in the question you just mentioned about the name, you should be able to draw the diagram with a deflationary or inflationary gap. Okay, so now we have to learn about how to get the full mass when we're talking about the change in the long one. Okay, in these elaborations we just assume that the starting point is in long run equilibrium, but in the real question, remember the background of the ASAD may be inflationary or deflationary gap. Okay, so depends on what the question talk about. Okay, so follow the question. But even if they have an inflationary and deflationary gap as the starting point, then that one will be very easy. Just a change of demand, and then we become the long one equilibrium. Okay, so now if the starting point is in the long run equilibrium, then let's see. If this time we find that is a sense of saving is decreasing. Okay, so now we have to understand this event. Always start with the events. Okay, the events will lead to increase in AD. Okay, so the AD shift to the right. Okay, so now after you're writing this, then you in the diagram you can just draw a 81, 82. Okay, so then we have a P2 if this is P1, Y1, Y2. Okay, so now we in short one. Okay, because why is it short one? Because we only talk about the AD and the SRS, which is equilibrium. Okay, so the general price level, we found that it just increase. Okay, P1 to P2, and then the real output increase. The Y1 to Y2. Okay, and then in long one, so what happened in long one? Remember, in long one, it's always only the SRAS curve will change. Okay, so if you want to understand why, go back to the concept. But now I just let you know it must be the SRS change. Okay, so how it change? It targets the long run equilibrium. That means the intersection of the AD and the long run AS. Okay, looking for the intersection of long run AS with the AD is here. So in this point, we try to add the SRS2 here. Okay, SRS1 go to the SRS2. Oh, I forgot to put an error here. Then we have a new price. Okay, now and the Y3 should be here, and then go back. Then in long one, so we have to elaborate. In long one, that is a gap exists. Okay, in long one, because this point is the y more than the potential output, so it is inflationary gap exists. Okay, and the next one is talking about the input price. Because it's inflationary, you just say that the input price rise, then SRS decrease. Okay, just according to the diagram, it's decrease, so as a decrease, SRAS shift left. Then the general price level increase. P1 to P2, oh sorry, P2 to P3. Oh, SRS, we have for SRAS 1 to SRAS 2. Okay, then real output decrease and or back to Y3. So I just say that Y2 to Y3. Okay, so now we finish all the things and we get the full marks for the question. Okay, similar, we have 3 cases. Actually here are the same. Let us think about that. If this time is about something make the SRS increase, for example, the cost of production decrease or the technology, technology, because the government try to offer temporary subsidies for the company. Okay, so or they try to reduce the cell tax. Okay, so SRS is increased, so we will try to draw the diagram this time. First, we have a short one, SRS 1, then increase SRAS 2 here. Okay, we have a new equilibrium here, P1 to P2, Y1 to Y2. Then after the change of the SRS in norm 1, we will be looking for the intersection between the RAS and the AD curve. Okay, so AD curve, that means here. Okay, so that means SRAS curve 3 is equal to SRS 1. That means it go back. Okay, remember in the real examination, do not the color is not, it doesn't help. I just using the color is for your understanding. So do not try to using highlight pen. Okay, so you try to label it clearly. SRAS with the arrows and the 2 to 3. Okay, something like that. So then we will finish already with P3 here and Y3 here is equal to Y1. Y3 equal to Y1. 1. Okay, P3 equal to P1. So in the verbal elaboration, so what do we do? Something happened later, not decrease. So in short, one is simply we have an increase in SRAS here, increase in SRAS. Then the general in short one, the general price level decrease because we have a, oh, I forgot to put the decrease here. Okay, and then we have the real output increase Y1 to Y2 and finish. Then in norm 1, inflationary gap exists. Okay, so after then we have an input price rise because inflationary gap and input price rise is always a match, just a pair. Okay, so then the SRAS decrease because we, according to the diagram, we go back to the SRAS 1. So and then the general price level increase according to the diagram, then the real output decrease according to the diagram. So we get all the things according to the diagram. Okay, just remember the structure of the answer, then you can get the full marks. And the last cases is about what happened to if we found that the LRS increase. Okay, for example, that's a vendor technology, or we have more labor, or more capital goods, or more training on the human resources, and this thing will increase the LRS. And what happened to the diagram? Let's say we have a LRS 1, then this time it changed to LRAS 2. Okay, because LRAS changed, then SRAS will change. But actually in short one or the long one, then SRAS 2. Okay, so actually they change at the same time, so we will find that the new equilibrium will be the intersection with the LRAS and SRAS and the AD. Okay, so be here. So we have a P2 here. Then we will find that the price level decrease and the Y become pi Y2, the Y increase. Okay, so you will find that it's the shifting from long one to long one. Okay, long one equilibrium change. So no need to divide the elaboration into 2 parts, and it's very simple. Okay, so for the elaboration for simple, so we start with the case, okay? What happened for example, technology advance, okay? Become more improvement. So lead to the increase in LRAS, and then the LRAS curve shift to the right, and then we have a LRAS1 to LRAS2 according to the diagram. We can simply easily find this one. Then the second one is about the change about the SRS, that means this curve, okay? So SRS increase and the SRS shift to the right, and then we have a general pulse level decrease. So we can see here, and the output level increase, so we output increase, and then we have a Y1 to Y2, that we got the full mass of this question. So here it's at the end of the concept elaboration, so we are going to move on to the past paper.